Hi guys, it is Karen
and Mary
from Daisy Lane Paper Crafting Sales and Events in Mattoon, Illinois. And we host a biannual craft supply rummage sale at our location in Mattoon, Illinois. And we have put together a list for you of some ideas, guidelines that will help facilitate the sale. And what we wanted to do is post it so that you could see it and be able to mark your stuff and sell more stuff at our sale. Now, even if you are watching this and you are not participating in our craft supply rummage sale, you still may find some tips and tricks that may help you if you are looking at marking your stuff and selling it, whether it be in your own local rummage sale or you're participating in a sale at another store event. So all of these ideas are going to pertain to craft supplies. For over 15 years, we've had these sales, so we feel like we've kind of gained a lot of ideas and tips. So here goes. I got my notes because my sister is a note taker. It says, this video will go over all of the rules. Some things will be rules because we have one sister that's a rule follower, and we have one sister that says the more things are like suggestions. and she holds the cards. So hopefully it won't be too dry. We'll make it a little bit amusing as we always do. But just know there are certain things that are rules in participating in our sale. And then some things are more just suggestion things that we've learned over time. So things that we accept for our craft supply rummage sale are any type of craft supply. So whether that be for like wreath making, card making, junk journaling, paper crafting, sewing, fabric, molds, jewelry making, ceramics, painting, artist supplies. And then we also take things that are considered organizing. So that would be containers, things that would hold buttons, any type of organizing. Any type of party supply, which would be things like decorations, curling ribbon, packaging, and then office supply. So that would be like your staplers, your rulers, folders, mailers, things like that, because a lot of those areas cross over. So those are what we accept at our sale. Now, things that we do not accept in the sale, this is a so Xyron machines that are over the 510 size. So we take them 510 and below. Those bigger ones, the 900s, the 850s, there's a 1200 out there. The machines just do not sell. Now, that being said, we still take the refills for those machines because people who do have the machines want the refills. We also do not take design studio software and any home decor items that are not considered craft supplies. This is one of the sisters a little more to me, a basket.
This is a very large rule.
No, hold up the suggestion. So like baskets, you can have baskets that organize stuff, so it's organizing. But what we don't want in the sale is for finished crafts. Not that we don't take like if you had a mini album that was done, totally okay. But we don't want all your painted knickknacks and stuff from grandma's house.
Puzzles, kitchen items, pictures to hang on the walls.
But frames are considered paper crafting, just saying, sister. So, if you have questions and you're participating in the sale, just ask. Okay, so marking your items. When you register to participate in the sale, within 48 hours, you will be contacted with a vendor number. So that's going to be the number that you put on all of your items in the sale so that you get paid for all of your items. Your tags for the sale have to have at least these two items on it, your number and the price. So here's just some examples. Here's number 4. And we want to see that number in the top left-hand corner. That's because if you've been to the sale, you know it's crazy. And we're going through a lot of merchandise. We need to be able to speedily add up your tags.
That's how we tell our workers, hey, look in the left-hand corner for their vendor number. Yep. So it doesn't get confused with the pricing.
And then the pricing would be on the right side. We've had a few people switch it and it does cause some confusion. And everything that we do because we want to make sure you get paid for all of your items. So you want to be able to make sure that it has the vendor number and the price on it. Then optional item to put on, Mary, this is oh, look, I made this sheet. Look at this sheet, Mary, look.
Okay. This is suggestion.
Can you zoom in down
So the
off the
first
ground?
things you have to have is your vendor number and a price.
And then if you want an item to not go half price, so remember on Sunday, everything that's left that's not marked firm goes half price. So on your tickets, if you want one item that you just brought in that you're like, you know what, everything else can go half price. I just want a couple things not half price, just write firm on those. You can put firm on everything, or you can leave nothing with the word firm on it, and then it will all go half price. But these are just some examples of types of tags.
Some people have the
on.
fancy tagger like we do. And that's fine if you have a fancy tagger. Some people type out on the computer, very nice, typed out number 4 and pricing.
What you won't be helpful to you is to try and put item numbers or detailed descriptions of what it is so that when you sell it, you know what you sold. We won't give you your tally that way. We don't write down what was sold. So don't feel like you need to have that information on because you won't get it back. What would be helpful though is any information that's going to help sell the item. So if somebody's looking at a bag of items and it's like, wait, what is in there? Maybe you want to put on there a sign that says, okay, hey, this is brand new. It hasn't been used. Sometimes it's obvious. Sometimes it's not. This is the 10 years of growth paper pumpkin kit, and it's baby themed.
But you don't have to.
You don't have to. But in this sale, people are shopping frantically. The goal is to get through so much stuff so that you can get first dibs on it. You want to look at it and fast. So you don't want to have to sit there and be like, no, wait, how many papers? What's in there? So think of that as adding to your tag information that's going to help it sell better. It is a suggestion. You could just put the price and nothing more. And for most items, you don't need to say that's a pear punch. We get that. So there are a few things that make for a bad tag. So one of them would be like, you cannot see it. Like, so here I just used an example of some painter's tape and I wrote on it. Now I'm not saying you can't see it if you really look, but we don't want to have to
very
struggle.
dark.
Yeah. We don't want to have a tag. Now, most of the women at our register are 50 and older, so we need to be able to read your tag. So we need the number and the price
really
to be readable.
It's too tiny.
Right. And your tag can be made out of labels. It can be made out of tape. It can be made out of paper. It can be written on the item. I tend to not love that idea, but I know some people like to do that. But it needs to be placed in the front of the item, not the back when possible. We realize sometimes you do have an item, and maybe it's a punch and it takes up the full size and you're not going to get a tag to stick. Then you're going to have to do it somewhere else. But just know,
you don't want to cover up.
You don't want to cover up important information, but people are looking at a glance. And so you may have a really great priced stamp set, but if it's priced on the back and I have to pull it off and look, I may never get to that point. But if I see, man, they got $2 on that. Yeah, I'm going to grab that. So when possible, put it on the front. Just make sure don't cover up any information that may help it sell, such as the quantity in there or what else would be important on the front. Just like the number of pieces.
If it's a pack of paper and you have 24 pieces of paper in there.
Don't cover up the 24.
Yeah.
Now, some good examples of how to make sure your tags stay on is check your tags the next day, because sometimes you will, if it's a stick-on tag, sometimes it will stick onto this, but it will not stick onto a Ziploc bag. The other thing is some people use paper and they'll take a piece of Scotch tape and tape over that. I just want to show you how easy that comes off. If you're going to use paper tags, what you want to do is cover that completely with probably packing tape. We don't want to ruin something. I've had people bring in like an album and they packing taped labels to the album. And when you peeled that off, it ruined the album. So keep that in mind. You still want people to be able to open it. You still want them to be able to use it, but we don't want your tags coming off. One of my favorite ways to do it is I like to staple my tags on when I staple my bag closed. I think that to me, it does dual purpose. You don't have to put 16 staples in here, and we'll talk about that later, but a staple or 2 staples on your tags holds them in place, and I just use little pieces of cardstock. So So tags are, however, what works for you. You can use certain kind of tags on certain things, others on others, but just make sure the tag stays with your merchandise. I even had one person, like she put the tag on the inside of the bag and taped it there. That was a good idea too, so it's not coming off. We want to make sure you get paid for your merchandise, so we need those tags to stay on. If selling like a grab bag of items, you could use another tag to tell the customer what's inside, or some people have taken a picture of what's inside included and then taped the picture onto the bag. Just keep in mind, if you're selling a grab bag for $1, do you really want to spend 10 minutes of your time writing out a detailed description of what's in there? Probably not. You don't need to. Now, if you're selling a grab bag for $20, or an item for $20 that's a little higher price, then spend a little more time telling me why I want to buy it. Hey, it's brand new, is retired, or this has, you know, X amount of items in it. But that's how I judge it. If it's a real inexpensive item, okay, for $1, you can take your chances and figure out what's in there. But example would be putting packing tape around the elm. I did tell you that. Painter's tape is not a good usable. So how's that for, I got tags done.
Woohoo!
Now, how to package your items. So in our sale, we want things to stay together because remember, we have hundreds of people shopping. We have hundreds of vendors selling. And so if you have multiple items, meaning it's more than just a punch, then it needs to be contained in a bag. So all the markers together. That's a rule. You can't bring in a box and say, hey, everything in this box is $10 without sealing the box. So all bags also have to be stapled or taped shut. So in this one, I use like a self-seal bag. This one, I stapled it shut. This one is stapled shut. You don't need 26 staples, but what it does is it prevents people from opening this. So say there was no staples in here, and I'm looking at it and I'm being like, ooh, what's this? Oh, this is nice. I liked what this was. And then I put it back in the bag and I forgot to put something back in it. Or I leave the bag open and now you're like, dadgummit, the next person just dumps it out. It also prevents people from taking, you know, what's honest people honest, putting something in there that didn't. So every bag needs to be sealed. Not every item needs to be in a bag, but every item needs to be sealed. I like a couple staples. You can use packing tape. What does not work is a little piece of Scotch tape over there. It'll never stay. But so really your two choices for that would be either a couple staples or a piece of packing tape across the top. Now, so customers, yeah, they're not allowed to open the boxes, and we get where that's a problem, or the bags. Because like Paper Pumpkin, this is a good example, is these kits that you would get in the mail. Let me put this back together so it looks nice. So it looks like this is a nice, and these come like this.
And people bring these in all the time.
And if this is sealed, you have some, buyers have a couple options. One, I'm already making a mess, see? Can never get it back in the way it was nice. I don't need to do that now though. So if this is sealed, sometimes they're factory sealed. I would not go and make the work of opening them up because you can Google the image. It does slow people down, but for the right price, I might be willing to. Some people will copy the contents like from their website or a catalog and put on here. Here's what I do. I cut the box lid off because it has to be sealed. So if you bring this in like this, it has to be taped. I cut the lid off. Yes, that may irritate some people who want them in original boxes. You still have the lid. And then I slide this into a bag and then seal it. You could take everything out and slide it in the bag as well. I think to me, I don't know why I'm so obsessive over making that look nice. But
if you are going to bring something in a box like that, it has to be taped shut.
Yeah. Which is a problem for a lot of Stampin' Up! Products because their lines were not designed really to sell in a retail environment. They're more a catalog. So you just saw it on a catalog or a website and got it. So they're not really putting a lot of presentation into it. But it still has to be done that way because we have so much stuff and so many people. So it is a tough thing on some things to come up with ways to attach it. But here's some other examples. Like if you're putting markers, in selling them in a bag, here's what I do. I show, because people won't be able to open this to test them if they're multiples. I just showed them on this little piece of paper, tested, and I included it in here.
Shows the colors.
Here's another thing. I wrote the word tested on a Post-it note and stuck it on the inside. So that's a way if you're putting in stuff. This I thought I showed just because. So these I wrote fabric pencils down because if our volunteers were to get these in, they may throw these over on the art writing table, but really these are fabric pencils. So we would put these with sewing and quilting. So if you can put information down on that, that's a good idea too on your tag.
A single marker does not need to be in a bag because you
Correct.
see how Karen has put the tag on it and then she did put a piece of tape over it. So this is completely fine. This does not
Yes.
need to be put in a bag.
Do not, and it really bags work against you. Most of the time, if you put a single item in a bag, it is hard to see. There's a glare. It doesn't usually fit, with how our punches lay nice. And I don't love bags because like if I were to put all of these in a bag, the problem with this is then you wouldn't be able to flip through and see what's really there, which is a complete set of numbers, and it would be all crazy. So this is an ABC order. It's got a tag, and I like to use packing, curling ribbon. Because it doesn't stretch, and it's usually pretty strong. And then I wrote on it, the numbers are also included with my price. So instead of a bag, you can tie things together. If it's 1 or 2 stickers like this, you could also staple 2 or 3 stickers together for one money, and you price the top, and then people can flip through and see what they have. Now, I get where when it's a lot of leftovers, or maybe it's a hodgepodge grab bag of your leftover Christmas stuff, you're gonna have to put it in a bag. There's no way to probably display it where you can see everything in there, but that's where the price will make up for being able not to see it. Okay, it's just a couple dollar item. They'll be glad. You cannot use to attach things paper clips, like alligator clips, those bullnose clips, rubber bands to combine items. If you have a Stampin' Up! Stamp and a die, it cannot be rubber banded together. It will never make it through the sale. You can't take a paper line and use one of those black binder clips and hold it together, because what will happen is somebody's gonna take that apart and it's never gonna get put back together. So,
and you will not get paid for your stuff. If we find stuff like that, it automatically goes in the donate box.
It doesn't even get out on the sales floor if we catch it. So, good point, Mary.
Thanks.
If an item has an old rummage sale sticker on it, remove it, because you don't want this over here to say, $1 and then you priced it $2, or even if it's less, you still want
An
just
example
your sale.
would have been, we had this in the last sale. They had a Ziploc bag. It was a grab bag of all the stickers, and one of the stickers had a 50-cent price tag on it from an old rummage sale. And a customer brought it up and said, "This is 50 cents."
Can I just buy the 50
Yeah,
cent item?
no,
you
the
can't.
whole bag. So that is why old rummage sale
Yeah.
stickers.
A lot of these rules are put into place because we've dealt with buyers for the last 15 years at these sales. So we have seen it all. Now, that does not mean you have to remove the retail sticker. A lot of times the retail sticker is great because
Shows
it's like,
the value.
It was a $12 punch to begin with, and I'm getting it for $2. That's a great deal. This also, includes items you're putting in a grab bag. Original price tag or store clearance stickers do not need to be removed. If the bags won't work for an item, then you can use curling ribbon to bundle them together. So here's another example. I have all of these like mailers. I don't have a bag big enough. I don't want to spend the money on a large bag. So tying it like a present so that it's not loose and wobbly, it's staying really good, and then price the top of it. That's a good option for that. On these, like any kind of paper pad with a hole, I tie it together because one, people can still look at it and it keeps everything from falling out. I always remove the scraps. If I get this and someone, they cut a few sheets and they leave pieces tucked in there that match. I get why you would want to do that if it was your personal pad, but when you're selling that, all of those scraps are going to fall out. So you want to clean those out unless you're going to put this in a bag, which I wouldn't do because then I want to flip through and see the things. So this really is the best way. If it doesn't have a tab on the top, you can still tie it like a present. And then we always do the math on ours. We count the sheets. So nobody's sitting there thinking, man, that's 24 sheets I'm getting.
If it's missing sheets.
If it's missing sheets, I still like to write new just so people know, like, hey, that's a full pad. You want to sell your stuff. You want to show people, man, for the money you're paying, you're getting a lot of paper still for that. If you choose to use bags for like open stock paper, like, maybe you're just selling leftover random Christmas, you can order bags off of Amazon. That's what we do. It's honestly, there's zipper top, there's self-seal. But what I always tell people to do is cut the corner off the top. Don't do it off the bottom, because this is going to be sitting in a box. Nobody's going to be able to get to see this, and you're going to get some damage. But by cutting off the corner, I can flip through and see what's in there paper-wise, what I want. So that's always a good suggestion. I would highly recommend you do that. Also, you have to, so like a Cricut, like we've had people bring in, hey, I want to sell my Cricut and I've got all these cartridges, and then I have the bag that it came in. So in that case, there again, everything still has to be contained. So we can't have your Cricut machine and your Cricut bag with all your cartridges for one money without it being sealed. And that would never work, because no one's going to get to see what's in there. We've had people try and do blind grab bags before, and it never works. So what I would tell you to do is price all of those things separate. And here's why. Because one, if I'm in the market for a Cricut and I'm like, yes, I got my money, I'm going to buy me a Cricut. And say you have a really good deal. You've got the Cricut and the bag and 5 cartridges and some extra mats and some blades, and you've even got the toolkit, and you're going to mark that all for $100. Wow, that is a good deal. But somebody else has the same Cricut for $25. They don't have all the foo-foo with it, but it's still the same machine. Now, me, I could say, you know what, man, I only have $50 to spend at this sale, so I can get this Cricut machine, and then later I can add all of those stuff. Or maybe I don't want your cartridges. So think like that. Think like the buyer. What's going to make them buy it more? And then what I would do is I would price all of that Cricut stuff separately. It's a little bit more work, but you're more likely to sell all of that other stuff. Maybe I have a Cricut machine, but I want your Cricut cartridges, or I need some new mats. So by breaking it down and pricing stuff separate when you can is always a good idea. Now that does not include, like if a Sizzix machine, a Big Shot comes with the cutting bats, I would include those with the machine and the pad, obviously.
And how would you package that?
So good point. So that's why we keep my sister in here. She's got all the good points. So for a Cricut machine,
Sizzix with the mat.
So the Cricut with the mat, I run my mat and my plates through the machine, and then I tie a string up through the machine just to tie it all on there. That way nobody can unload it and then lose the mats off of it. You could also put them all into a baggie and then tie the baggie onto the handle. That's what I would do with my Cricut stuff. I would put the cord, the instruction book, anything else I'm including with that Cricut, I would put it in a large Ziploc bag, like the 13 by 13s you can get on Amazon, and then tie it to the Cricut handle or bundle.
So it stays attached.
So it stays attached. There are gonna be times where nothing works. Like an example would be the newer Cricuts don't have handles. I'm used to dealing kind of with the older ones. And we still don't want it to be so awkward that it won't sell. Worst case, if you have to have 2 things that obviously go together that you cannot attach. So say a Cricut and a bag of accessories that go with it. On the Cricut, you're going to put your number 4, Cricut, $20, $100, whatever you're selling it for. And then on that same tag, you're going to say, has bag of items to go with it. And then you're going to take the bag and you're going to tag that bag, number 4, bag of Cricut items goes with Cricut machine. Do not put a separate price on that tag of the bag stuff, because then people are going to be like, wait, is that 20 and that's 20? No, it goes together. So we will allow that when necessary, but we do it pretty sparingly, and we make sure that it really does work well together that way. So another thing is, I always tell people something like this. So people will bring in like these fishing boxes or a tackle box or a toolbox. So in this case, if you were selling this, you would need to tape this shut, because what's going to happen is people are going to look at it. Dishonest people may be like, I'm going to pocket these 2 buttons. I don't know why they'd steal buttons, but, or worst case, it gets shut like this and then it gets dumped.
And it makes a mess for us.
Yep. So anything that has stuff inside it has to be sealed. Now, there are 2 exceptions to this, and I don't know why we do these, but we do. So the wood stamps that Stampin' Up! Makes in the clamshells, we do not require you to tape those shut. We don't have problems with those opening. We don't have problems with theft on that. Nobody's going to stick an extra anything in there. It's very obvious what's in there. As well as the Stampin' Up! DVD kind of stamps. we do not require you to stamp or to seal those. Now, if they have dies in them, you will want to do that. But if it's just a stamp set in those, we let those two things go for whatever reason we do. My also though suggestion would be, so say, I know this is just a little box of buttons, but I still would recommend you took this and you take these buttons and you put them into a bag and sell them separate than the container. Because now for $2, okay, I'm going to buy this all and be happy about it. But if you're wanting to do all these brads and one of those big tackle containers, and you're like, man, I'm going to put $30 on that. I'm not saying it won't sell, but I'm saying, remember, I've got a lot of other choices to shop, and $30 for one thing may be a good deal. But if I only want a few brads, I'm going to be like, man, I don't know that I want to spend $30. Or maybe I want just the container that all your brads are in, because I got my own brads, but man, I'd give you $10 just for that container. So you may consider a little more work, taking items out, bagging them up separate, and then selling the container when applicable, is that a right word?
Yes.
Separately. So I think that is all. I think we did that wrong. You did how to bring. So pricing items, I'm going to finish with when to bring stuff in, because I know that pertains only to our sale.
Okay.
And then I'm going to keep going of that.
Just don't forget.
Don't forget.
You're at 26 minutes in.
It's fine. So pricing items for our sale, everything has to be marked $1 or more. No free items. You cannot put, oh, I just want to give these idea books away. We don't want your free items. If you don't want it, donate it. Everything has to be $1 or more. No 50-cent items, no free items, and all in quarter increments. So after $1, an example would be $1, $1.25, $1.50, $1.75, $2. You get the point. No $1.49, no 10 cents, no 50 cents. If it's not worth $1, then bag items together, make a baggie, staple a couple stickers together to get you to $1. But that helps at the register. We don't want to spend 2 hours adding up 10-cent sheets of paper. So the price should reflect how much work goes into it too. Remember, don't use a really, people buy those Ziploc bags that are branded and they're like the 2 gallon, they're real big. I think they run like 40 cents a bag. It's kind of crazy how expensive those are. And then they'll put all their stuff in it and they'll mark it $1. And I think, okay, listen, we're taking 20 cents out of it because we keep a 20% commission. You put 40 cents into the bag and just keep that in mind. Either price it more and put more in there, or use a cheaper bag or a different way to package it. This is where, so for pricing, a lot of people ask, they'll be like, hey, and we do, I'm not saying I wouldn't give you a suggestion of what's a big shot worth, but so much is dependent on the condition, what it is. And I like to remind people to think of supply and demand. So Christmas stickers are a dime a dozen. Every company makes them. They're all cool. I'm not saying there's not some rare ones that everybody loves, but for the most part, Christmas stickers are Christmas stickers. There are things that are unique that are stickers, but they're going to sell for more, like John Deere license stickers that Creative Imaginations made years ago.
Certain brands like Authentique.
Yeah. Basic Gray.
49th and Market.
Right. So in that case, you can mark those things a little higher than just somebody the average. So just to say, how much should I mark these stickers? It just depends on what the stickers are. I always tell people, price stuff the way and for the amount that you would want to buy it. And there are going to be, maybe somebody brings in this punch for $1 and somebody brings this punch in for $3. This one's going to sell first. But we have enough customers that this one's going to sell, and the second person that finds it is never going to know there was one for $1, and they're going to be really happy that they found it for $3. So,
and it is your choice what you want to price your stuff for.
It absolutely is.
But just keep in mind, this is resale. It's a rummage sale,
and it's not eBay. There's a reason things bring what they bring on eBay. People do a lot of work into that. You're getting a whole nother demographic. So if you're expecting eBay prices out of stuff, now sometimes I'll go to eBay and be like, ooh, okay, that's $50 on eBay. I usually price it between 20 and 30, depending on what it is, because I don't have to package it. I don't have to ship it. I don't have all the liability of selling on there and the commission. But just know, this is not an eBay sale. This is we call it a rummage sale because of that. It's pretty reasonable thrift store kind of pricing. I put most wood stamps are not worth much. That's those clamshells that are from Stampin' Up. There are some wood stamps that are worth something, not like millions of dollars, but a little bit more. There again, you at the end of the day have to be happy with what you put into it. So what happens to the items that you bring in that do not meet the sale requirements? So if they're not stapled or they're not marked correctly, you have already signed a paper that says if you followed those rules, and if you didn't, then we will donate your items. We won't hold them for you. We won't change them. We have a donation box that gets picked up at the end of the sale, and it will all go into that.
Now, that's not to say if you brought in one item and you miss stapling that.
Yes.
We are going to get a stapler and we are going to staple it.
Yes, but it's for people who totally be like, I didn't know I had to staple bags. Yep, you had to staple the bags.
Did you talk about how these rules are all written down on our website? We do have printed rules.
Good. I didn't talk about that either.
On our website is the printed rules and guidelines that you can print off, that you can read. This video is just a great another tool we're using to give you information and to show you. I mean, written down instructions are great, but to show you what your tags look like.
You're not going to find all these suggestions on there. That's more just the rules. Speaking of suggestions, sell items that you would want to buy in the condition that you would want to buy for the price that you would want to pay for it. That's my suggestion. Make sure all items are in good, clean, working condition. Now, if a Cricut machine is missing the cord, I'm not saying we sell stuff that's missing something a lot. There's a stamp set and it's missing a stamp, but I always disclose that when I can catch it. And I always have the price reflect it. So if you have a Cricut machine and it's missing the cord, but it's still a newer, nice Cricut machine, and you're like, yeah, I lost the cord, just have the price reflect that. Okay, you got, yes, $20 to buy a new cord. I'm going to discount it and sell it at that much. So it's not that everything has to have every piece. Now, it does need to work. So we don't want your broken Cricut that doesn't power up. But also, don't package like a paper pad inside of a plastic bag and the papers are all half used.
Don't choose to be deceiving.
Yeah. We've had people in the past, and I don't know that I'm going to give them the benefit that maybe they weren't trying to deceive. They put full paper, so when you flip it, you're like, oh, and they didn't cut the corner, and it's ziplocked or it's stapled shut, and then inside of it does not represent what
scraps.
They're seeing. It is, yes. So that's it. We want honest sellers. We want honest buyers. So make sure you do test your markers, your punches. Don't bring in anything that smells like smoke or that like fabric that has dog hair all over it. It will go to the donate pile.
We probably won't donate that.
No, we probably actually wouldn't donate that. We would just toss that. So another just tip for something. Now I realize space is always an issue for crafters because we have more stuff than we have space for. But you will find that if it has the original packaging, it's going to sell for probably 20 to 30% more. Even if it's been used, but if it still has the original packaging, it makes it more valuable. So in the future, when you buy something, if you can save the original packaging to put it back, if you feel like you kind of get rid of stuff every so often, that's something to think about. And then we talked about selling things, breaking them down. The grab bag also, now I always say that, but we had a lady who brought in phenomenal grab bags to one of our sales. A lot of people will just put a bunch of stuff in there and mark it $20. Be like, here's a $20 grab bag. We will take it. It's your stuff. You get to mark it how you want. But it is something to think about. Remember, I am coming with limited funds and I'm looking for specific things. And so if you have a grab bag and I want 3 things out of that grab bag, I'm going to be like, man, I'm not spending $20 to get 3 things. But if you can take that grab bag and put it into 4 smaller bags for $5 each, you're getting the same amount of money. But now I find 3 things I want in your bag and it's only $5. So it's like, you know what? That's doable. I'm gonna buy that. Still your stuff. You can do it how you want. But a lot of people also, because of the firm thing, so some people will bring in stuff and they did not add firm. And they said, well, I just marked everything kind of high, knowing it would sell at half price. Bad idea. So the sale runs 4 days. We sell Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Sunday's half price. We have 3 whole days that you want to sell your items before it gets to this half price day. You don't want to price it so high that nobody's going to look at it until half price day. One, you've lost 3 days worth of sellers that may not come back, or buyers that may not come back on half price day. And you don't want to take the loss. So if you have an item and you're thinking, okay, I want to sell this for $10, man, I'd love me to get $10 out of it, but man, $5, okay, they're gonna get it for $5. The goal would be maybe to try and price it in a way that you sell it not for $10, but not for $5. Price it $8, a little less, but not half. Find that sweet spot in stuff so that it sells before it gets to half price day. You don't have to give it away, but you may want to think it that way. So thinking that you're going to price everything high, knowing it goes half price, is never a good strategy. Because we don't negotiate. Everything is priced what it is. So you just don't want to count on just people being able to buy it on that half price day. We do limit the number of sellers for each sale, so sign up early if you're interested. If you register and decide not to participate, there is no refund on your $10 registration fee. All the dates and times for this drop off and pickup are posted on our website. It's your responsibility to keep track of those dates and times, because we won't contact you and be like, hey, here's all the drop off dates. They are on our website.
And there are specific rules, Karen, for dropping stuff off. Dates and times, they will be listed, like Karen said, on the website. There are certain rules. You cannot just bring your items in a box and then dump them.
That's on my third page. Don't look at the rule following sister. She's like on it. I just wanted to say that there's 2 kinds of sellers. There's those who want to get the most out of their items. They price all of the items separately. They do the work. Some maybe they price stuff higher, or they market firm, or they okay, if it goes half price, it's going to sell, and that's totally okay. What doesn't sell, you can take back. And you can keep your number. You could bring it to another sale if you wanted to. And there's those kind of people. And then there's those kind of people who just want their stuff gone. And they will sell a Cricut cartridge holder full of all the cartridges for a cheaper price so that they don't have to take up and match all the Cricut cartridges and their books and their mats together. And they mark these items cheaper, and chances that they will sell for that price during regular price days, and therefore make more money because it's sold before half price. So different kinds of sellers, it's totally okay to be either one.
And there will be, like Karen said, all over the board. You will have 3 punches that are $1, $5, $10. And you're thinking, what did that $10 lady think? When the $1 lady, it's just because it is what it is. People get to price their stuff, and you will find really, really cheap stuff, and you will find really, really expensive stuff.
But there's also, I always tell people, you know what? There's good deals. This was a good deal.
There always is good deals.
You may find, though, that $1 punch was a great deal. The $3 punch was a good deal. The $5 punch, man, okay, maybe
still
it was $8.
A deal, because you can't get it anymore. Yeah,
either you're not paying sales tax, you're not paying shipping, or it's an item you can't get anymore. So you just kind of have to look at it over the average. I may have gotten a steal on this, and I'm just getting a decent deal on that as far as a buyer. So when you bring items in, we post the dates and times on our website. Keep in mind, you're dropping off items during our retreat weekend. We do have some specific rules for that because we are out of space that weekend. We try and open it so that you can come to the retreat, whether you're retreating or you're shopping, and you can drop stuff off. But that does mean that it needs to be in stackable boxes. Whatever you bring your items in, you have to leave your items in. So you can't bring and be like, hey, I need these totes back. No. Now, here's what smart people do, especially if you're trying to bring a lot from a long ways away and you need to fit a lot in there. Like if you're bringing a crop and style to sell, mark your crop and style and then fill it full of items that you've already marked. We will know. We will check everything. We'll open it. We'll take out the other price things. But if you're bringing a tote, mark the tote for sale. But yeah, you can't dump your stuff. We don't have boxes to trade it into. So whatever you're bringing it in actually has to sell. And I always tell people, bring them in those nice Marshall's bag. Mark them $1. You pay $1, but people at the sale are willing to pay $1 for them because they forgot to bring a bag, or they bought more than they needed, or they wanted to walk around with a bag.
Or a lot of those Marshall bags are so cute. People just buy them because they're cute.
And
and everything we are telling you, the rules is all on our website. I should have
said that in the beginning.
It's your responsibility to still read through the rules, the guidelines, to know the drop-off dates, to know the rules on the drop-off dates if they are specific. So there's no reason to show up and say, well, I didn't know that. We have made sure everything is in print.
One sister did that, not this sister.
If you need to know it, it is listed on our website.
And if not, ask us questions. Send us a PM. We'll be glad to help you out or answer questions.
We do put a lot of the dates on our Facebook page just because that's a great way for us to advertise. But specific details always go back to our website, which is www.daisy-lane.com.
Okay. You do have this last paragraph for me to talk about that says,
are you almost done?
Yes. If you are bringing items back that you marked this in the last sale and you brought it back and you're going to try it again, which we totally allow. It's your stuff. You can sign up for each rummage sales you want. Keep in mind, there's lots of hands that have touched all this. So you want to make sure your tags still stay on. Things are still stapled or taped shut. You also cannot go like, okay, well, last time I had this firm. I don't want it firm this time. You cannot just go through and mark out and be like, you know what? I just don't want that firm. Or you can't be like, you know what? I'm just going to change that and make that $1 now. You have to change the tag. And you can see why with this many hands and people, we don't want anyone thinking they can just go around with a marker adjusting prices or firms. So you need to have a nice clean tag each time if you're going to bring them back. So I got that. I got that. Look at me, sister. I've got all of this. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope you got some ideas on whether you're participating in our sale or you're just marking stuff for your local rummage sale, how to sell your stuff, how to get the most out of it. You should never feel bad about wanting to sell your stuff. You put a lot of money into it, and you should be able to get money out of it to put into new craft supplies.
Sell your old and come to the sale and buy new.
Now, I will say, if this video finds you and you're like, you're like, I'm done. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to mark that. I don't want to physically do it. I don't want to mentally do it.
I am not a rule follower. I don't want to follow those rules.
You don't want to follow the rules. We do buy out people's supplies. So that we did, then that's where our stuff comes from. We buy it, we follow the rules, and we mark it and do all of this and then put it in the sale. So that is an option. You can contact us. We don't travel to California. But we do, whether you bring it to us, or sometimes we are willing to travel a little ways depending on what it is or the amount. But so if that is something you're interested in, that you would just contact us via Facebook Messenger or an email off of our website. Otherwise, thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful. Reach out if you have any questions.
Thanks.